So a few of you have asked me some help with the first project, and I think I'll use this opportunity to have a quick run through of what you need to do for the first project. So if you are having some trouble understanding, feel free to email me or post questions in the forum, and also check out this video and I will go through the first project with you. Okay, so let's see, what do we have? The first thing is create a basic scene inside Unity with primitive game objects in various rotation, scale, and positions. Okay, so let's go to File, New Scene. Okay, great. I already created a new scene, so this is a new scene. Let's create some objects. Click on a cube. Okay, that's a cube. Again, Alt and left click, rotate the scene. And let's also create a plane. Okay, so we're going to use that. Let's pretend that's our floor. Okay, I'm going to name this floor by pressing the Enter return key. Floor and cube, I'm going to call this box 1. Okay, I'm going to pull this up. Again, W key goes to the position tool. E, if you press E on your keyboard, it's the rotation tool. You can see that this has changed. Press R, that's the scaling tool. Right, so these 3 buttons. And then Q is your grab tool for you to grab, to move around in your scene. Another common question that I saw was how do you turn on the grid that you can, if you want to see the grid, you can just turn off this, click on this button and turn off skybox. Right, then we can see the grid on the floor. A few other things, hold down the right mouse button. You can look around in the scene as well, like that. And zoom in and out using the mouse wheel. Okay. And remember this little tool up here on the upper right hand side. This allows you to rotate your scene. Right, so now we're looking at the scene from the right hand side, from the front, from the left, from the back. So you can rotate it this way, or if you click on Y, it goes to the top view, come back to the front view, top view, front view, button, front. And you can also right click in the middle and choose a view you want to have. Let's go back to the top view. Let's go to free perspective, and then free view. And another thing I didn't talk about yet, but I was going to go into it a little bit later, but here I'm just going to quickly mention it. If you click on this text here, it switches from a perspective view to an isometric view. And it might not be very obvious to you yet, but in the perspective view, things that are further away will appear smaller. Right, so if you look at these 2 lines, they're parallel, but as they go further into distance, the distance between the 2 lines gets smaller. Right, so the objects in the distance appears smaller. If you click on this, now we're looking at the scene from an isometric view, and then let's see. You can see that the 2 lines are always they always have the same equal distance between these 2 lines. Right? It doesn't matter how far away they go into the distance. They're going to have the same distance between them. And that's how if you are making a 2D game, you're going to set up your camera to have a view similar to that. But in any case, this is a quick way to say, okay, if you want to look at things from the right hand side, you want to position them that way, then it's a quick way to sort of help you move things around. Okay, let's come back to this. Okay, so now we have this cube. I'm going to press E and rotate it a little bit. Right, rotate it on different axes, and you can see that we can also rotate by changing this number, and then you can just click on X, click on Y, click on Z. Remember that the positions here are if your object is in the root level, then this is the global space. And we'll talk about parent objects and children objects next week. Okay, so you've rotated the object. Let's scale it. You can scale the object in different on the different axes as well. Okay, so that's one object. I'm fairly happy with that. I'm going to make this floor a bit bigger. Okay. Okay, let's create another one. Actually, I'm going to do a sphere here and move it here. Again, I want to scale it up. Okay. Okay, let's do one more. Let's do a cylinder. Okay. Scale up the cylinder, and I'm just going to rotate it a little bit. Scale it up a bit more. Okay. Remember, you can switch back and forth with the local and global button here. So if I just want to move it over here, I can do that. Okay, so we have some basic objects there. What's the next thing? Create and position camera and lighting to adjust the look of the game. Right, so find our camera, click on it, and if you lose track of your objects, double click on them. You'll always find them. The scene tab will focus on that object. Double click on them. Right, okay, so we already have a camera here. Whenever you open up a new scene, there is always a main camera by default. Okay, and you can see the camera preview. Now this is what the player is going to see. I'm going to again drag this down, put it down here, so I can see exactly what the game looks like. Okay, now we have the camera. I'm going to change the background color to something else. Right. Let's just do gray color for now. Not super exciting, but that would do. Okay, and then let's put some lighting in there. Let's put our favorite directional light. You don't have to position this. The position of a directional light does not matter, but usually I just sort of move it out of the way. The rotation does matter quite a bit, right? So you want to know how the direction the light is hitting the object. Okay, do something like that. Okay, you can see that in the game view. You can see the changes as well. Okay, so that's lighting, and you can also change the color of the light. Actually, I think I'm going to stick with white light and intensity, how bright it is. I'm going to just leave it at its default value. Okay, that's not worried too much about all the other things. Okay, so that's lighting. If you want to experiment with different types of lighting, you can do so here as well. We probably won't go into that until let's see. We'll see what the games we're making. If there's a need for it, we'll use it. But usually, I find directional light plenty enough for our purpose. Okay, so that's good. Before we forget, let's save the scene. So you can go to File, Save Scene, and let's say this is Project 1 Quick Demo. Okay, save it. You can see that the file is down here. This is the scene file that we've just saved. Okay, right here. So you can again change how big or small you want how big or small you want the thumbnail to look. I tend to like this view better, so let's go with that. Okay, so what's the next thing? Add materials and trial asset store. So I'm gonna do both of them at the same time. Okay, so let's go to the asset store. Again, if that was too quick, go to Window and then Asset Store. Okay. Now wait for it to load. Okay, good. Let's go to Textures and Materials. And so we did one of these on the previous video, so let's try something different. Let's go to this hard surface shaders. Right, so once it's loaded up, you can preview it, click on the image. Okay, this looks pretty good. So let's go import. And you can simply click on import. Wait for it to download and import into your project. Okay, and that's done. Close the asset store. Okay, and let's see. Okay, now we have this new folder called Hard Surface Free. Double click on it. Now this is when I actually want to see what the material looks like. Okay, go to Shared, Materials, and we can just drag some of these materials. Okay, let's try that one. Let's put that one on the floor, and maybe that one on the cube, and that one over there. Okay, so now we have some interesting materials on our objects. I think that one is kind of like a rusty wooden kind of texture. These two are actually transparent. Very cool. Right. So that's you can do materials that way, or if you want to just apply. If you let's say you have found a texture that looks cool that you want to use, you can also just directly drag it on top of your object. I think in this case the material is not actually using that texture. It's not taking that, okay. Well, this is slightly different, but anyways, the reason why it didn't work was because the material was using a specific shader that doesn't just take a texture, but usually you wouldn't have that problem. Anyhow, so that's pretty much it for the requirement of the project. I think I still have some of the older materials that I've downloaded or created, and we can always use those as well. Right, I need to keep changing these back. But anyways, so that's how you do it. And also, if you can tile the texture as well if you want. Might be a bit too much. Or have this weird wooden texture for the floor, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so that's basically all you need to do for this project. Again, feel free to experiment with more assets from the asset store. The only downside to experimenting with that is you're going to end up with a lot of files here, but we are going to start with a new project on Monday, and so don't worry about that for now. I think some of you have used some of these other ones that you can. Some of these other you can try different 3D models. I think there's. We look at the city before. There are probably some trees and flowers that you can use. Some really cool stuff in here. So experiment with that and post your progress on the Skillshare page. If you don't know how to do that, just go to student projects and start your project. And we have a lot of interesting projects already, so I look forward to seeing more of them coming. Again, if you have any questions, just feel free to email me or post them on the forum. And thanks for all the students that's been helping each other out, replying to each other's questions. It's been great. So that's it. And get back to your project.